Greetings, I'm Dr. Sean Reed, author of the Dating Toolbox, available on Amazon.com. Okay, so today I want to address the question, does marriage benefit men? I've got a lot of guys ask me a question in my comments, you really need to make the case for marriage, excuse me, because so many on the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook, what I call the Red Pill Society, and those like Andrew Tate, argue that no, there are no benefits of marriage for men, especially in the face of the fact that 50% of marriages end up in divorce. So you've got a lot of guys making a lot of noise about what they claim is the fact that marriage has no benefits for men. On the other side of the coin, we have academics who argue generally that marriage has significant benefits for men. What I would like to remind you of, however, is that academia is driven by the far, far left. Similarly, Andrew Tate and people like him are really driven by the far right, or what is known as the alt-right. So I think both of these sources are unreliable. And what I want to do today is I want to unpack this question in a more sensible and reasonable manner so I can give my viewers a more accurate determination of whether marriage is worth it or not. Excuse me, I inhaled some water. So, the fact is academia is dominated by the far left. 31 out of 30 psychologists are very liberal. So the question is, can we trust their results? For example, many of them argue that marriage has benefits for men, the much more significant benefits than it does for women, that women are just like chattel, are workhorses. And I argue that really neither side is correct. Here's my main point. I argue that marriage can be tremendously beneficial for men if, and it's a big if you select properly and you manage the relationship properly. If you do those two things, then yes, marriage is extremely beneficial for men. And, you guys, I hammer this again and again, but you've got to understand the selection process is extremely rigorous. It's brutal. I just had a guy, really nice guy, keeps posting on my videos. He's talking about he was just through, he just broke up with this gal. What should we do? I will tell you absolutely nothing. When a relationship is over, it's done. You only get one chance per woman in this lifetime. Similarly, I argue that all the steps and the screening processes in my system must be adhered to rigorously. No freaking exceptions, okay? So, we have many, many steps in the process. The process starts, is she pleasant? Can you start a conversation with her? Does she give you her phone number, right? When you call her up and ask her on a date, does she accept your date idea? Guys, no exceptions here. I don't care how pretty she is. I don't care how much you like her. There are no exceptions. If she isn't pleasant and doesn't want to talk to you, next. Okay? Remember, you're the prize. If she doesn't give you that number, next. This is all part of the testing process. And you guys, you are the one of value here. Okay? Don't think of this as risk or failure. Think of it as part of your rigorous screening process. If you ask her on a date and she starts negotiating that first or second date, saying, oh no, I don't want to, go bowling or miniature golfing or I want you to take me to an expensive restaurant. Done, guys. That's it. She's out of there. Similarly, if you don't get those first 3 good dates, she's out of there. If you don't get a year of no red flags of perfect dating, she's done, guys. She's not wife material. So you have to understand that this selection process is extremely rigorous. Similarly, when it comes to managing relationships, you can't make mistakes. You have to do everything right. I've had many videos on how to manage relationships. All the failed relationships I've had were either bad selection or bad management. You know, I was talking to one of my posters is, since I perfected my system, I've never gotten dumped. I've never gone through a divorce. So again, you guys, if we are rigorous about our selection and our relationship maintenance, then yes, marriage can be extremely beneficial for men. And again, none of these guys are talking about, none of these red pill guys are talking about this. None of these academics are talking about this. These academics, they don't know how to manage a relationship because they don't know how the female and male brains work. They think men and women are the same. No, we're not. Our brains are different. So they all freaking got it wrong. If you get it right, marriage can be wonderful. So I've sort of broken down whether or not marriage is good into some of these important variables, and I've given a numeric score for them. So let's first look, of course, at sex. Is it worth getting married for the sex? And this is one of the few areas where I'll be honest with you. No. For unmarried, I got a U for unmarried, I got an M for married. If you're unmarried, again, you guys, if you're working my system, that doesn't just mean randomly picking up a girl now and then. That means actively hustling for numbers constantly, actively building that 3-woman rotation. You're going to have a 3-woman rotation of women with high interest level, and they're going to give you the best sex of their life. So I give unmarried an 8. Okay. Now, a lot of guys think that getting married, or you'll hear a lot about guys who are married, their wife cuts them off on sex. That's because they screwed up the process. They didn't select the right woman, or more often, they don't manage the relationship properly. You know, I tell guys time and over again, if you want sex on Saturday, you need to give your wife some romance on Monday or Tuesday. Again, so married sex, I'm giving a 6. You know, I'll be honest, I'm 62, almost 63. My sex life is down to once a week, but it's still really good sex. It's passionate. It's the kind of sex my wife and I had, oral sex and all that good stuff. I want to keep this G-rated, but we still have pretty awesome sex, even after 18 years of marriage. But I'm going to give the edge to unmarried. Okay, now I want to talk about companionship. Okay, in this area, unmarried gets 3, married gets 8. The big advantage to marriage is I've got constant companionship. Now, these academics talk about, here's another place where they get it all freaking wrong, these academics. They rate companionship so high because, you've got someone to share all your little deep, dark inner secrets with. No, guys, don't do this. I don't do this stuff with my wife. Don't use your wife as a therapist. That's not the advantage of companionship. The advantage of companionship is I've got someone to watch movies with me all the time. I've got someone to watch my back. I'm not lonely, right? 2.5 years ago, I was training really hard. I had a massive seizure. I died in the hospital. When I woke up, they're pulling the tube from me, and there's my wife. You know, I've always got someone who has my back. So that's the big advantage of marriage, is companionship. Again, your wife is not, I got emotional here. Your wife is not your emotional tampon, guys. Don't do that. All these academics say, you can use your wife as a therapist. Do not do that. Okay. Again, they don't understand how the female mind works. Women are not looking for a child. They're looking for a man. Again, that's programmed into them from 200 years of evolution. Okay. But you will have companionship. So unmarried is a 3, married is an 8. Okay. Now we get to the area of finances. Okay. And again, this is totally contingent on proper selection and proper maintenance. You go through a divorce, obviously, marriage was a terrible financial choice. But if your marriage is successful, it's a big advantage. Married, I give marriage an 8, unmarried a 4. When I met my wife, I was making tons of money. I had my college teaching job, which actually didn't pay that much, but I was making a ton of money, six figures in my pocket at least every month because my real estate, I had California real estate. I bought it when I was very young and it was blowing up. I was making a ton of money when I married my wife. That all changed. I quit my college teaching job. I've been a personal trainer and a strength and conditioning coach. So I went from making $180,000 a year to only making $30,000 a year. Fortunately, I bought my house. I paid off all my loans. I didn't have any debt. And now my wife makes very good money. She makes well into the six figures. She did not leave me again because I selected and I maintained that relationship. A woman in love will not leave you because you lose your job. That's another thing guys need to understand. Women in love don't leave. Right? Women who aren't in love, yeah, they'll leave you if you lose your job. But my wife stayed with me. And today we're financially very solid. And, we're not rich, but we're good. Our future, I have, gourmet food. She cooks for me every night. I've got gourmet food. My house is paid off. My wife pays all the taxes and the insurance. So again, financially, if the big if is you select and you main properly, financially, marriage, you're way better. I couldn't afford a big, nice house like I have in a very nice neighborhood if I were single. Even if I were still making $150,000 a year, it would be very difficult for me to afford this big house on my own. With a wife, you have shared expenses, right? Shared blended economies. So you'll be much better off financial, our savings, and then tax breaks and things of that nature. Okay, so I give the finances an 8 for married, a 4 for unmarried. Children. Okay, this is another area. This can be controversial. My son has been a great source of joy for my life. My relationship with him is wonderful. He's a great athlete. He was a star football player. He's a star wrestler, captain of the wrestling team. I love going to watch him wrestle. I nurtured his athletic career. Part of when I quit working at my old job, I was a strength and conditioning coach. I was his strength and conditioning coach and for other athletes that ended up moving on to be highly successful college athletes. And following that, my son has been probably the most rewarding aspect of my life. Now, I'll tell you something, the truth. When they hit 16 and 17, they become little brats. So that's why I'm only giving them an 8. I'm not going to give you a 10 here because kids kind of come pains in the butt when they get to a certain age. On the other hand, I hear that changes when they get older, but children can be very rewarding. If you're unmarried, either you're not going to have children or you're going to have children in a broken home. That's a terrible situation. That's something you don't want. I don't want anyone to go through. So children, married, I'm going to give 8. Unmarried, I'm going to give a 2. Okay. Health. Married men tend to be much healthier. Okay. One of the reasons I quit drinking is I wanted to save my first marriage. I quit drinking. The marriage didn't work out. I know now, looking back, it's because I selected the woman I married was unmarriageable. I didn't have my system. I married her based on the fact that how I felt and the sex was good, right? I didn't have a good selection system. So, but in terms of health, if you're happily married, your health is going to give you much better than if you're unmarried. So I give that area, I give that an 8, and I give unmarried a 2. So the total here is, again, guys, this is contingent on selecting the right woman and managing a relationship. The total here is 19 unmarried and 38 married. So based upon my score system, which isn't based on academia, it's not based on the red pill logic or Andrew Tate, but based on my criteria, being married has nearly double the score of being unmarried. So I had some guys ask me about, why do I want to get married in the first place? Here is why. I also want to talk about the impact on civilization. We have a dearth of young people in our society. So pretty soon there's going to be no one to work as we get older and try and collect Social Security. There'll be no one paying into it. No one, where there's already a shortage of workers. I don't really have time. We're at 15 minutes. I really don't have time to address that. I know everyone hates to listen to long videos. So I just wanted to get that out there, guys. So to summarize, does marriage benefit men? Yes, if you select the right woman and if you manage that relationship. So again, guys, if you like what you heard today, if you like what you saw today, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to learn more, I cover all this in more depth in my book, The Dating Toolbox. It's available on Amazon.com, $13. It'll change your dating life. The link is available down below. If you have any questions, guys, again, please feel free to ask them. I love helping out guys. This is kind of what I've devoted myself in retirement. So if you have any questions, please ask me. I'm happy to help, and happy dating.